Hey guys.
What's happening?
Whoo, that's a scary intro. God.
Good intro. Very good intro.
Yeah.
Man, she looks like she's going to jump through the screen and do some damage.
She was fading back and all that. That was like
she was getting ready to run, you know. Ooh, and it's a dark and stormy night here. And now we're talking about the crazy mind of Aileen Wuornos. Am I saying her last name right? Wuornos. Wormy. I wanted to say wormy. Ooh.
There's only one problem. God. There's only one problem, Lee. Her Aileen, a lot of her friends called her Lee. So now you're sharing a name. Hate to tell you.
Oh no.
I gotta be the bearer of bad news.
The good thing, our league's still around. Wuornos is dust.
Good.
Yep.
Dust in the wind. She's got to be, and you know her son's just as loop-de-doo as her, right?
We don't know.
Yeah, he is.
You found more than we did. I couldn't find nothing on him.
I didn't find anything. He was born by, I guess, the uncle impregnated Aileen Wuornos at about 14.
14.
Yeah. And it was 1971, so that's the year I was born. So this kid's got to be my age now. So
babies.
Maybe I am her kid. No, I'm kidding.
No. We ain't going down that road.
But I don't know. I don't know what you found, but it was given for adoption, and I didn't see anything, but maybe I didn't look in the right spot, but it happens.
Let's see what I can find. I was looking at it today, and then I did some.
I'm looking now, too.
Yep. So tell me about her early life. Blaine, do you know her early life?
Yeah. Her natural father was a guy named Pittman, and he was arrested in 1960 because he was let me tell you my words I have for him. He was a chested molester chomo. And guys don't know what a chomo is, a prison term for child molester.
Great.
Yeah. An 8-year-old little girl. She was adopted by her mother's parents, and they were both alcoholics and sexual abusers. And they would have Aileen when she was 11 years old, strip down and make her brother have sex with her at 11. Then the grandfather would join in and get some too. Yeah. Lovely family upbringing.
You know, I do know someone that had a similar life. He was forced to have sex with his sister.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he did not end up this way. In fact, he was one of the first contestants on American Idol. He's a wonderful singer. And he's homosexual. But, you know, I don't blame him there. After, you know, he had to have sex with his sister and his mother. Obviously his dad was the problem.
Yeah.
But
I know Eileen's brother died of esophageal cancer. So he's dead. The grandparents are dead. I'm pretty sure her dad's dead. Her mother's probably dead too. So all of them are dead.
Well, the dad died in prison. He hung himself in prison. Yep. The only one potentially could be her birth mother, who the grandfather kind of forced out of town. Same thing the grandfather did to Aileen. Once the grandmother died from alcoholism, and it was just him and her, he's like, you could just get out, kicked her out of the house. So she's living on the streets, turning tricks at a young age of 14.
14.
And, ended up in Florida and getting married to a guy that was like a yacht guy or whatever. And he was 50 years older than her. And, you know, but that didn't last long. So at the time that he was married, she was married to this guy, was the same time that her brother passed away. So now she has nobody at that moment. So that's where a lot of things turned for her.
Yeah, she had a problem with being abandoned. But you know, that's a personality trait of some mental disorders. Mm-hmm. But she actually, go ahead, Blaine.
She had mental disorders, but she was borderline psychotic, borderline. God, what's the other word they use for her? But just go with psychotic. She was borderline psychotic, and abandonment issues, like you said. Thinking that nobody ever loved her.
That's what she thought for sure.
I can see why.
Yeah,
I can see why too.
You know, she's another one like Ramirez. You know, she was made that way. Look at her life. Yeah. Look at her upbringing. Would she truly come out the way she was? You know, it got so bad. You guys know who Ann Rule is, right? She was like the true crime writer. She was the one that sat next to Bundy when he was working at the telephone line to help people, the suicide line.
Yeah.
And she wrote books about Bundy, and she interviewed a lot of people. And she said, out of all the serial killers I interviewed, Aileen was probably the creepiest of all of them. So that says a lot coming from that woman.
Yeah, the other one, she was borderline split personalities, because you'd see that in later interviews she did after she was in prison.
Yeah.
One interview, she come out and she was bubbly, already happy. And then other interviews, she was like, if you ever let me out of here, I'll start killing again. It's in my nature. I'll kill.
Yeah, it's like a bipolar type of thing.
Bad. Yeah. I mean, bad. I mean, she'd be talking about, well, I've had a good day. I read this book of the Bible today, and I did this, and I did this drawing, and I did this. And then the next time it's like, yeah, I killed him. I enjoyed killing him. They didn't try to rape me. I just killed him because I wanted to kill him because I hate people. That's the exact words. I hate people. I'm like, okay.
Pretty much a bipolar type of situation there. But her father had, when he went off to prison with the with the pedophilia and all that, found out that he had schizophrenia too. So there's a good shot. Yeah, there's a good shot that, but most of the time, schizophrenia usually hits men more than it hits women for some reason. But there is still the possibility of that type of tendency. There was a lot of, psychological issues with everybody in her family. But just her growing up, having to, she was living in a car in the middle of Michigan, you know how cold it gets, trying to turn tricks to get, something to drink, tobacco. So she was prostituting at a very young age, and that's how she would travel. So she was just wandering around and ended up at a few places here and there. But really, when things started going crazy was Florida, with that turning point, like I told you, divorcing this guy that she probably should have never got married to, 50 years older. And then her brother dying at the same time, who was probably her last family member, considering what she had to do with him under the grandfather, the uncle, the grandmother was an alcoholic. Her birth parents, nowhere to be found. She was beaten so badly a lot, so they don't know if her brain trauma was organic or it was actually, physically done.
Well, I know at one time when her brother died, she got like $10,000 in the life insurance policy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She went to Colorado, bought a brand new car, and had it 3 days and wrecked it. Yeah. I mean, total brand new car, just totally. And she got arrested.
That's the only car. I mean, we were talking earlier, and I was like, I think I don't want to go. I don't think I would want to drive with her. It's something like when reading up on her, there was always parts of her early life, middle, and all that near the end.
Mm-hmm.
She was always getting in car wrecks. She was wrecking all these cars. She wrecked the family's car, everything.
Yeah.
So I don't know. She was drunk driving. She would lean out the window and fire a gun off. All these petty crimes that she would do leading up, and getting to the point where it became more and more violent.
Well, remember too, it's like all 7 she killed. She only got convicted of 6, but because they couldn't find the body on the 7th, she ended up in all of their cars, selling all the stuff they had to different pawn shops, like you said, with different alias names.
Yeah.
She was hunting.
Yeah.
She was a hunter.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. The old song Man Killer. Remember that old song Man Killer from the 80s? This is a whole different. Jeez. Y'all, she creeps me so bad.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble with her.
Yeah, you got to look at
Lee,
something.
do you have her picture so you can show it?
Yeah. Hold
on. You just showed it earlier.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah, well, it's on the commercial things. But
Well, just so you know, we really got to look at this on a different aspect is most female serial killers do stuff within the house or within the hospital or a nursing home or something. A lot of times they'll use poison. Psychologically, if you really look at it, we come to the understanding that most men have the potential to be more violent than females. So, and that's just something given from day one when Adam and Eve or whatever, I don't know, whatever you want, it's from the beginning. So they look at that aspect of it, but most of the time, most of the women we know from the past, they poison or wait for the men to be asleep in the house just to collect, insurance money, those types of things. So if you really study a lot of the killers, but she was different. I mean, when these people started dying, they didn't think it was like a female at first, because most of the time it's men. So it took them a little bit to figure out, well, these guys are all like pants down by their ankles and they're thinking something different. But that's what you run into. That's what's confusing about the whole thing, because nothing's ever been documented of her type of being a serial killer as a woman. And that's why they call her the first female serial killer. But there is serial killers before,
like a male
but she was killing like you would think a man would.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And her victims' ages were from 40 to 65.
Mm-hmm.
So they're mostly middle-aged men that she killed.
Yeah.
Well,
so she was killing her father and her uncle.
And
her
brother,
her grandfather. Yeah, her grandfather, her uncle. Yeah, that's around your fatherly age. And the fact that she married a guy 50 years older, which was weird, but she took the opportunity to beat the crap out of him with his own cane. And he had to sue her and all that. And they ended up getting
restraining order on her.
But you have to admit, some of it, you sort of like Pee Wee Gaskins. Yeah. And just like Ramirez, it's like, go girl. And then it goes horribly wrong. And it's like, damn girl. And then it just gets really bad.
Yeah.
So it's like,
well, a lot of people to this day, they still think that she was defending herself.
Yes.
Even to the point that this woman, she was a born-again Christian minister and actually adopted her. She was only like
44.
maybe 11 years older than Aileen at the time, but adopted her. I was like, that's so weird. I don't know why people do this stuff, but she was firmly believed that she was innocent, that she was trying to defend herself. And out of the 7 men, the first one that she killed was actually went to jail a couple times or went to jail for rape or something like that. So he had a record of it. So that's why they started believing it. But we'll go over the court case in a little bit because that's mind blowing too.
Okay, well, here's her ugly mug. There she is.
That is 8 kinds of ugly right there, boy. Woo.
Yes, I put her and Ramirez in a basket, and
Can
there
you
you
imagine
go.
those two had kids, how ugly them children would be?
Ooh-wee. Yeah, she's awful.
That'd be some daggum little Oompa Loompa troll looking people.
I got this
one,
for
Blaine.
you.
Blaine, we have one. Hashtag Fugly.
Fugly.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, she's definitely hashtag Fugly.
Yeah.
Dub Fug. Tri-Fug.
To the
or as Gwen said, just no.
Just no.
Just no. All right, so I made this one for you, Blaine. You just covered this, but I thought I'd throw it up there. Okay.
We'll throw it up there. So
she was born February 29th of 56, like Tom said, in Michigan, like what Blaine said. But she died October 9th, 2002, and in Stark, Florida. And she was an American serial killer who murdered at least 7 people. And the last one was in 1990. Her case drew national attention. This is what Tom was just talking about, because it drew a national attention to issues such as the relationships between gender and violence and the legal treatment of acts of self-defense by women. So she played that card to the max, and her life was the subject of documentaries and a film called Monster, played by Charlize Theron, which I love her.
She won the Academy Award for it too.
Yeah, sure. I have a couple of paranormal, supernatural connections on her. So I'm going to let you guys do what you're doing now, and then let me throw these up because I think they're pretty fascinating.
Okay. So let me get into the court case. All right.
Hey, now, April, love you.
Hey, April.
As we're talking about the court case, this is where it gets a little crazy. A lot of the information, of course, her being a prostitute and just what they're up against, the Johns that come in, the violence that they're raised in, and those types of things. The court didn't allow experts to come in and talk about that. So that was thrown out. There was other people that come in on her behalf, and things that happened weren't allowed. And everybody was wondering about it. It was years later, there was some research done, and the prosecuting attorney against Aileen Wuornos, his name was John Tanner. Now, John Tanner was actually the spiritual advisor for Ted Bundy.
Oh, crap.
This Tanner admitted that he hated the fact that there was prostitution. So being the prosecutor and having that, but the problem is the judge overseeing the court case, this Tanner was a longtime friend of and colleague. So that's a conflict of interest, and there's reasons why this went on. And they didn't find this out until after she was executed. So that would have considered a new trial for her if they found that information out.
Well, that too, and the fact that the first one she killed had 2 rape charges against him in Maryland that they denied to bring in to show, hey, this might have been self-defense. Then after they denied that pretty much just cut her whole case. Yeah. And then it was pretty much just, screw you guys, I killed them all then.
Yeah, that was the way she was, her psychosis and all that. Yeah, self-defense, and then it's saying, well, no, I did it. I hated him. She was so back and forth, her stories would change. And, and unfortunately, having all that locked up and the jury didn't get to see it, they convicted her to death in like an hour and a half. It took them to deliberate. So it was quicker. It was even quicker than Bundy. So.
And each case after that went faster. It was like hour, 45 minutes, 35 minutes. It was just domino effect. Just down the line. Doom, 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 doom.
Yeah, you think of it, she's that's the problem in some of these system, especially down in Florida. You know, most men are committing crimes. There isn't a lot of women that commit crimes. So, but the men's prisons are overcrowded. So some of them are getting out like early. Female prisons, they don't get out early because they're not overcrowded. They're more run down. So there's a lot of issues with that in the court systems down there. I worked the systems down there. Stark, Florida, I've gone to plenty of times. I actually was allowed to go into the room, which was a museum at the time, like a little tiny museum where they have old Sparky, and I got to sit in it. So, and
God,
it's just a thing, and try to pick up the energy. But you know, that's the same prison that Aileen Wuornos was, you know, put to death too.
Well, did they move her to another prison from Stark, or was Stark the?
Well, Stark is her end point. She was at a female level 5 prison for death row. Before that, I think it was, I forget where it was. I think it might have been, I don't know if it was in Broward County. I'd have to look that back up again. But yeah, she was in an all-female prison. But Stark is the only spot where, you know, they had, you know, old Sparky, or of course at her time, lethal injection. So
yeah. And you know, she denied her last meal.
Yeah, she only had a cup of coffee.
Yep.
So yeah, you never know with some people, and I think near the end, when it was getting closer, her psychosis was even worse. She really presented as somebody with schizophrenia, became very paranoid. Yeah. She thought the people that brought her food were trying to poison her and kill her beforehand, and wasn't going to allow the state to do it. They wanted to do it themselves. So there was all kinds of things going on to the point where she wasn't eating or drinking near the end there. She was afraid
she wouldn't shower. She wouldn't shower either. Yeah. She'd shower in her own room because there would be people that would whisper behind her, says, "We're going to poison your food, or we're going to gang rape you," and it got her, like you said, all paranoid. And there were certain guards she would not come out of her cell for.
Yeah,
they had to go in and get her and snatch her out of the cell.
But that's the thing in the state of Florida. Just so you guys know, one of the laws is they have to shower or clean them at least 3 times a week. So I think she probably showed them she was cleaning herself in her cell, because if not by law, an extraction team is going to come in, they're going to pull you out, and there's going to be a couple of people in a blue suit, and they're going to forcibly shower you. So that's what happens. So that happened a lot at the prison I worked at, because it was a psychiatric prison. So that's why, you know, after 3 days, they have to be pulled out of the cell. And unfortunately, they're going to not come out nice. So you have to go in and get them. That's the tragedy of it, too. But that's what you deal with in that dangerous situation, like working in a prison or dealing with some people like the Ted Bundys and Aileen Wuornoses, and people you don't know what's going to happen with their psychosis. Are they just going to snap at that particular moment for all the stress that they're under? Because she was really at the point of snapping, coming up to her final day. So,
well, they wanted to make her snap. The prisoners themselves wanted to make her snap, just where they could say they made her snap.
But yeah, that's a thing a lot with the death row. That's what they want to do. They want to take away the state's ability to kill them. They want to try and kill them themselves. You know, case in point, Dahmer being killed or anything like that. So it's even the same as when other inmates find out that somebody has their end of sentence. So their EOS is what we would call it. When they're about to get out, they would check into confinement and all that. So they're locked in a cell so they're away, so they don't get in trouble or they have to stay in prison longer. So they want to go there where nobody could harm them, and they're just in the cell, and then they could get out and go home like their sentence is over. So there's a lot of fear in that, in the hierarchy and how they do things.
Wow.
Hey, Tom, did you know that she was adopted legally at 35 when she was in jail by a couple?
Yeah, I did mention that. It was a born-again Christian woman who was about 11 years older than her that adopted her.
She was 44 years old.
Yeah.
It was very strange. Yeah. But I guess it's no stranger than somebody adopting that Natalie Grace girl.
Well, no,
when she was 23 years old.
Well, the same thing with some of the other serial killer, the men, that women marry them that didn't even know them just because of their infamy. There's still that same. But this woman that adopted her felt like she was innocent because of, you know, she really believed that it was self-defense and she wanted to save her, you know. A lot of people do that. You meet somebody, the bad boy, the bad girl, and all these people want to save them. So,
Yep.
you know, we could give them the words, but they have to save themselves at that moment. So, you know, you can't save anybody. They have to love you enough to save themselves. So,
yep.
And that didn't happen in this situation, unfortunately. And a lot of people lost their lives because of it.
Yes, Victor. We're talking about prison and the serial killer, Aileen Wuornos. And she was the first American female serial killer that killed 7 people. And what a mess she made. It created a stir because, you know, she was a victim in a lot of ways. And, you know, I think I could start showing you guys. Let me just, everybody's saying, hey, and supporting us. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes, very much.
We wouldn't be doing this if we didn't have people that wanted to see this. So thank you. I wanted to show, well, let me get this pulled down. Sorry about that. Okay. Now, I was looking at the supernatural because I'm looking at parallels between, Ramirez and Pee Wee Gaskins and her, you know, it's like the same thing. Yeah. So I was looking at supernatural connections, okay, especially for her. And this one definitely started a spark of speculation about spiritual, paranormal interpretations, given how dark and violent, you know, her tragic life was. So a lot of people believe that she was possessed, okay? A lot of people believe that she had negative spiritual influences. And they say she may have been possessed or influenced by some kind of dark force, considering how traumatized her life was. And she may have picked up an attachment because of her intense rage. Her own spiritual beliefs, she never like talked about the occult like Ramirez did, but she herself also talked about how unusual her personality traits were. And some people claim to feel eerie or some type of presence at places that were connected to her. Yep. Connected to Wuornos.
I bet you one place is where her ashes were scattered in Michigan by her childhood best friend. I bet that place has got a lot of haunted woods.
Yep. I know. I'm glad that her childhood best friend did that, though. All right, so here's one in media pop culture area because of her story, because it inspired films, books, you know, like The Monster with Charlotte. And yes, Mark, you're right. Charlize did a great job with that. But people are starting to draw a supernatural element to dramatize and explore her psyche. Okay, let's see. In her final interviews, here we go. This is what I was looking for. In her final interviews before execution in 2002, Aileen made some cryptic, unsettling statements. I'm coming back, like the movie Independence Day, with Jesus, gonna wipe you all out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what? Okay, I know what happened to me. I was taken over by something. I have hate crawling through my system. Mm-hmm. Okay, these statements can be seen as manic or symptomatic of a mental illness. Okay, but some have interpreted this as a sign of demonic influence, something being taken, you know, taking her over. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that, guys.
All right, my thoughts on that. Okay, I do believe that there is a whole lot of paranormal associated with her, because you think of all the bodies, the men she killed in tragic fashion. That's gonna leave a haunting. The way she was brought up is gonna leave a haunting. Her, and she might as well have been possessed, because normal people did not act like that.
Yeah. Victor says that this sounds like the Mexican guy that killed his parents and went to jail, started doing demonic signs on his wall, and ended up killing all of his roommates. So they had to leave him in a cell by himself. So he started practicing demonic stuff in his cell because he went nuts. It does sound like that. I mean, maybe that's where these people feel like that's the natural path their life leads them to.
Well, it is. You think about it. We're talking about true crime here, but we're also in the paranormal.
Right.
Very similar. It does seem that a lot of people in the paranormal, some of them are off the deep end. A lot of them are drawn towards the paranormal because of the darkness in the the traumas they've had growing up to try and make sense of it and feel like they belong to something. And they feel that that darkness, we talk about spirits, the demonic, or the exorcisms and things like that. They're drawn to that type of stuff. That's what we get with some of these people in the field. And we have to understand that. But just with life too, when you go through something traumatic like that, especially for her over the years, you get to a point where you really disassociate. If you disassociate enough, you could become a totally different person. It could be confused as being possessed or obsessed or anything like that. Which I think in this situation, I think there was moments that happened for her. You know, she did have a relationship with a woman that like turned her in, and you know, but yeah, that's the other part. Does that disassociation get even worse because of that abandonment she had and all that? There's so many different factors with it, how she committed her crimes, the small crimes at first, and it just got worse and worse. But then again, that's when you're abandoned, it's just you. You feel like, you know, everything belongs to you. Like you're on your own. I want something, I'm going to go get it no matter what kind of crime it is. And all. And that's part of her psychosis too, I think. And she felt alone. It's just like when we're all locked up for COVID. When we were locked up for a few months and all that, when you got back out on the road, how bad people were driving. Nobody cared about each other really at that moment. Nobody was coming together.
Right.
They're all back out. They were alone for so long. And, you know, in a sense, they were almost abandoned by society. And that's what happened with Aileen Wuornos, because she's getting beat up. She was still going to school at first. So none of these teachers noticed. Nobody in this town noticed there was a girl sleeping out in a car in the middle of a Michigan winter. The whole society, her whole town failed her. Her family failed her. And the people that she, you know, met, of course, along the way, didn't love her enough and failed her. So,
and we've just been, he described just now why the lady adopted her. It wasn't so much that she needed to be adopted. The lady was trying to save her soul.
Yeah.
She was trying to make a difference and say, look, I know what you've been through here. This stinks. Let me try to make a difference in your life. It won't make much, but somebody does care about you. And at least she was able to, you know, give her snacks and do that. So,
well, what I thought was funny is her girlfriend was more than happy to ride in all the cars of the men that she had shot, rode around on them, went to the pawn shops, and Aileen had taken off to Pennsylvania, and they coerced her girlfriend, give her immunity from any kind of charges if she turned Aileen in, and had her keep calling Aileen till Aileen landed back in Florida. Well, that was
Aileen was in Florida. Tyria was in Pennsylvania with family. So it was just the other way around. But yeah, either way, she was coercing Aileen on behalf of law enforcement, which I think was kind of wrong too, in a way. It's like, you know, sucking her in. But yeah, there was already enough information to be able to do this or whatever, but an agreement and all. But
that old saying that if you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Yep.
She was hunting men, and so therefore she was hunted back.
Yeah.
And so that's scary.
The second time her girlfriend in court actually said that no, I don't think Aileen did this. Then all of a sudden she changed her whole testimony. Goes, yeah, Aileen told me she killed all of them. I mean, how?
Oh Lord!
How depriving is that? Somebody you think was your true love and just threw you under the bus to save their own ass.
Yeah, that says a lot. That happens a lot.
Yeah.
You know, even anybody, everyday relationship. Geez, you know, all of us had probably gone through something like that at one time, just thinking somebody cares about you, and then all of a sudden, well, they don't anymore. But you know, that we all go through that. But are we going to go kill people? Because probably not. So, but that's the thing is those are those breaking points. You know, for her to have to be in prison after she thought somebody loved her that much and came to the realization, she just turned me in. So she left me high and dry. I'm abandoned again. And even in prison, how she just slowly went more into madness before she was executed.
Oh, yeah, because she would never write her in prison. She would never call her. I mean, once she threw her under the bus, she was done.
Yeah. Yep. Terrible thing to happen, but you live the life.
Yeah.
You live that life, and that's the consequences of that type of life. Was she a victim of her circumstance? Definitely. Definitely in that situation. She didn't really come to the means to be able to get herself out of that situation. So she was living day to day. She had no plan for the future. The past was what made her the monster she was. But she was just living day to day, and didn't care about what was going to happen tomorrow, to the point she tried to commit suicide 7 times.
7 times, yeah.
Really tried hard once, but 7 times she tried to kill herself over the years. So
didn't she shoot herself in the stomach with a 22?
Yeah, that was the serious one there. So, but it takes a lot.
Well, what's sad too is like her girlfriend was a lazy ass bitch, wouldn't go to work either. So Aileen was out there whoring, prostituting herself where they could have a place to live.
Yeah.
But her lazy ass, no good.
She was a leech. Absolutely.
Was a big time leech.
Yeah, she'll consume whatever it is that she obtained.
But that's why they were together, because Aileen was so broken, and so was the girlfriend. They were both broken together. They had their different psychoses and all that. So, but the thing that we were talking about earlier about them getting the cars and crashing every single one of them, but because they crashed the car, that's how they ended up figuring out that this Aileen Wuornos was the killer of these men, because they were trading in all the stuff she would take off of them out of the car, going to pawn shops to get extra money. And she was giving fake names, but there were still fingerprints on these receipts and things like that. But they found the fingerprint because people said there was 2 women that crashed and ran away. So they wanted to find out who these women were. Now they got fingerprints off the car, which then all of a sudden matched to this other murders that they're trying to find. So
definitely not the smartest. Okay,
well, if she knew how to drive, she'd probably still be alive killing people.
No
doubt.
Well, here's a list for us.
Put it this way.
We talk about her and other people like her. This is the profile of the victims, okay? And you're traveling or out of town, someone looking for sex, although she claimed not all of them were. Working class, middle-aged, and here are their names. I mean, let's don't forget, we had a trucker, former police reservist, a missionary and former merchant seaman, retired Air Force major, and former police chief. These men were targeted. Okay.
You know what my favorite one is? This Troy Burgess. He was a sausage delivery man.
Yeah, sausage guy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make a joke. You guys can figure it out.
Yeah.
Now, look at this guy, Richard Mallory. He had an electronics store with a history of sexual violence.
That was the first one he murdered.
Public. Yeah. His wasn't public till after the trial, and Aileen claimed he brutally raped and beat her before she shot him in self-defense. Now, I believe that's true. I mean, there's a lot of things that she's said that I do believe that happened, but that doesn't give her an excuse.
Yeah, of course not. But that Mallory guy was the first person she actually killed. And I think that's what made something go off in her head to kill the rest of these 6 people. Any indication of what this guy probably might have tried to rape her and get away with not paying her or something. And then she shot him, and she's like, well, I'm going to take his stuff and all that. And now she's like, okay, so now when I get money, now I'm going to take their stuff on top of it and kill them. So, yeah, I know. Isn't that funny?
Jeff is right.
Yeah, Jeff.
He was trying to deliver, but got shot.
Yeah, he was trying to deliver sausage, but he got Wuornos.
We always have the oopsie daisy. Oopsie daisy. All right.
How about the hashtag be hashtag sausage?
No. Hashtag Wuornos sausage.
Yeah, that way people will know. All right, I got a few more slides and we're running out of time. I was just going to throw this out there. Okay, so demonologists and paranormal theorists believe that extreme trauma, abuse, and violence can thin the veil between our world and the darker forces, because the emotion that is part of that trauma will bring darker energy to you. And we talk about this on the show all the time. So Eileen's life checks all those boxes. Okay. We've got abandonment, sexual abuse, life on the street, survival sex, deep emotional instability, explosive rage. And so she became, I believe, a vessel for something darker over time. She was born, but like so many times, like someone just talked about, Renee mentioned it, one of our viewers, H.H. Holmes, Ramirez, everybody claimed to have something evil in them. Well, and there it is.
One thing
potentially they could. Potentially they could.
With the way her family was, I think she was actually born with those evil genes. I really do. I think she would have come out bad any way she would have went. I think she would have ended up bad. Even if she didn't have all the abuse and all that stuff, I still think she would have ended up bad. That's just a gut feeling I have.
I could see that because of the epigenetics of all the people that she was related to. She would have had to do some serious work on herself.
Her dad was a chomo. Her grandfather and grandmother were alcoholic abusers.
Her uncle
was an abuser.
And I wonder how far back it goes.
Had mental issues.
That familiar, ancestral and all that. How far back does it go that this keeps happening?
I wonder.
That would be a fascinating study to see just how far back the nastiness in her family. Bless her heart, she didn't have a chance. All right, so
she did.
I'm sorry, babe. I only have 2 more after this, and then y'all have it. Okay, so the wrath or revenge spirit. Okay, this is part of paranormal theories. Okay, so the wrath demon or revenge spirit, I believe, is what she was the victim from. Okay, I believe this attached to her. I really do. And she used it for her to go from one extreme to the other. There's also a trickster that is the destruction through madness. Mm-hmm. And then we also have the incubus and succubus tie, which I find fascinating because she is androgynous. She has ways like her that's very manly. Her energy, her vibe is very masculine. And so we're on the fringe here. And so spiritual seduction turned rage. Yeah. I mean, I know she didn't practice anything, but I just thought I'd throw that out there because that's something that Blaine and I've talked about over the years. Blaine and I have been doing extreme cases for so long, and you've brought it out many times, Tom. Gwen, as we've done our research and we've been doing the show, it's a constant theme. So.
Well, you think about it, we're doing true crime, and it seems like anytime there's a murder or something, that area becomes haunted. That we research. Case in point, Lizzie Borden, Amityville, the Basilica Axe murder house.
Yes.
Where there's something else. But even with this Aileen Wuornos, you consider some of the spots that she was at, what her energy people talk about, like you're talking about, that evil or whatever that's left there. People feel it. It's even to the point where I talked about Stark, where the old Sparky is. People say they still see the spirit of Ted Bundy walking around in that area. Like you were zapped right there. Considering being electrocuted, what kind of energy stays? You're being zapped with electricity with your own energy and that imprint that it could leave.
Big time.
Yeah, but trauma
is like a big ass Tesla coil.
Yeah, but I think where there's trauma of whatever, being shot or car accident or anything, where that, or even other types of things, just your daily living. It's not always trauma. It's that residual, the over and over again, and what you leave by doing something consistently, to the point where sometimes you drive to work so much that you could be talking to somebody and then just you're like, oh, I got to work so quick. Or you're trying to go somewhere and it's near where you go to work, and all of a sudden you're like going to work. Yeah, it's all in your mind. It's residual as we are as a human too. Yeah, but the trauma is the really big thing. That's the big conduit. And you have enough trauma, you could disassociate and make it appear like it's obsession, possession, whatever that point of, your affliction is. So.
Jeff says, is trauma the main cause for places to become a hotbed for activity? Yes, it is. That's right. That's what he's saying.
You could also say it could be tragedy, or it could be pure love and joy. It's an emotion, it's an energy. So there's a fine line between love and hate. Okay.
There you go.
A very fine line. So yeah, both could actually cause traumatic stuff.
The biggest emotions.
Biggest emotions.
Well, I've got 2 more little slides, and they're small. I don't want to. I'm just making the point here. We also are looking at borderline personality disorder, and I think Blaine brought that up, and possible psychosis or delusional disorder and PTSD from years of trauma. And to be fair, psychologists are going to point these, and we've pointed it out tonight, which I love our balance between the two. I think that's what makes our studies more valid. And here's the last one. People don't like to call this demonic. Okay. Films like Monster and documentaries like Life and Death of a Serial Killer. They talk about the instability, but they don't like calling it demonic. It's easy for them to assign something otherworldly to her presence though. And so, I don't know. I just thought I would put that out there.
I'm surprised Hollywood wouldn't call it demonic, because they
no doubt they like to call everything else demonic.
Yeah, I don't like. I so many times it's not demonic. How many times have we gone? We got a demon. No, you don't.
Oh,
you got somebody.
I can count on one hand, and it'll be 0 that I've ever encountered. Yeah. And me and Lee have dealt with the worst of the worst spirits. Hello, Taterhead.
Taterhead. Y'all,
hey, baby.
She's untied. Let her hear us.
Let her hear us, Lee. Hey,
Luna, baby girl.
She's all
now. I'm hearing voices.
I'm sorry, y'all. Whenever we turn the computer on, Gwen comes over and we're working on stuff. She thinks that when the computer's open that we're doing a show, and it's time for her to get.
And she's looking. She's in the looking. Yeah. It's so funny.
And she's disassembling my shirt.
Oh my God. Yeah. But yeah, this is a crazy case, because again, there was other female, technically serial killers, but none that ever masked similar to what male serial killers would do. Because again, as a society,
there were
we give men the benefit of the doubt that they're going to be violent.
Yeah, she was the first one that went and killed 7 in less than a year. And that she had an MO that she went to. Most of your other serial killers were black widows. They would kill their husband for insurance money. Then they kill another husband and another husband. That was most of your females. Serial killers, but
Lizzie is all about the money. That and her being left out. She had no trauma compared to Aileen. Jeff is saying, how can you tell if a spirit has suffered trauma? Usually the ones that are still able to talk to us, not always.
I feel their energy. I feel their energies. I could tell if their energies happy, sad, glad, mad, pissed off, scared. That it's that different type of energy that I feel from them. And if it makes you feel sad, that's the progression going to you saying, okay, I was sad, or I was mad.
So it's not magic. What it is, people elude vibes. When you meet somebody, they have a vibe. And you can pick up pretty quickly what is their vibe, as if you are experiencing something that's a spirit.
The vibe,
what's the vibe?
Is still there. Yeah. The vibe is still there. Your meat suit's gone, but your vibe is still there.
But I could judge somebody within 5 seconds. I'm going to be your friend, or I'm just going to be an acquaintance, and you've got to go, because your energy tells me right away what I need to know. And us who've done this long enough, you know that is true.
But there are some people that we allow. There are some people we get a bad vibe off of, but we allow them in our life because I think sometimes there's lessons for us, certain people.
They're either a lesson or a blessing, one of the two.
Do you accept it is the thing. Whenever you see it, you identify it.
Yeah.
Okay, am I going to mess with this, or am I going to let it pass? Sometimes you've got to go through it.
Yeah.
Jeff said he's a skeptic with a lot of questions. He's actually a wonderful photographer.
Yes.
If you guys, when you come this way, Blaine, we need pictures with Jeff. He did some of the three of us, my husband, Gwen, and me, that you'll be seeing soon. And I just want to say, I look like a badass.
Yes, there's and Matt
too. Yes,
Matt
too. Can he make me look good? If he can make me look good, I'm in.
He can make you look amazing.
Thomas, look at them eyes. You be all right.
He said, "Shh, don't tell my secrets."
Yeah.
Well, we have a big reveal coming, and Blaine, we need pictures with you for you.
Well, you guys know I just had a big reveal yesterday.
I saw it.
Yeah. Butch Patrick, who played Eddie Munster, will be our legacy guest at Paracon 5. So that's a big one. And Charles and I, we were talking earlier about spirit communication. Over the weekend, we did the Haunted Trolley. And I had my friend Raven Wolf. You guys might know Raven. And she came down from Salem to have the day with us. And
how cool.
So we had a whole group of people on the trolley, and through my device, I could hear a hearing impaired person. You know, sometimes when they're hearing impaired, they try and I was like, that was weird. And her and I were going back and forth with a spirit that was deaf. And I've never experienced that in my life. It was very weird because how we were trying to communicate, and I'm trying to come up with ways because I've never experienced communicating with somebody with hearing impaired disability in the afterlife, which was very weird. But it was, I think we did help that spirit. It felt the energy changed after. But we were very cold.
Gwen,
we were very cold.
Gwen actually has one that's autistic.
Yeah.
Yes.
You remember her?
Yes.
Yep.
We do have one that's autistic.
Blaine, she's doing so good.
She's learned to talk. She's learned to talk.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not huge words, but
that's a big. That is huge for them.
Yeah, and it's got an influx to it. I mean, a inflection, like she's conversational.
That's awesome.
But when she comes to an event or to an investigation, it sounds like like
she's
you would
excited.
Automatically, you would
Yep.
think that she was in trouble. The first sound is maybe it's disturbing, like an illness, like somebody's in trouble.
Well, the first time I heard her, I said, that child is autistic. And Gwen goes, no shit, she is.
I felt like something was wrong, but I guess she was stressing because we couldn't understand her.
Yeah.
And Blaine was like, I think she's autistic. No, she's autistic. Remember Blaine? Paranormal shit?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, we had one, Blaine and I, and we couldn't get control of, we could not influence the subject long enough to get healing. We had to just stop and deal with the parents and deal that were in spirit as well. Yeah. And the people that owned the house. But I think that the healing came later. I think that was going to be a multi-layered situation.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And Pat, yes,
I like your I like my co-host too, Pat. That's Gwen.
No, he's talking about Luna.
Oh, Luna. Well, she's.
I was like, is he talking about Thomas? Gwen?
The Rock. Oh, we can't talk about the Rock House right now.
No, that's going to be a reveal later, and you're going. We've got some video that we're going to release soon, and Blaine, when you come this way, we're going to sneaky over there. This place is phenomenal. Sneaky. The tiptoe over there, but the owners have already said.
Last night,
yeah. The owners said go for it. Just don't go here and there, and I'll explain it later. But this place has creeped out our community for decades, and it's been a place where teenagers go to scare themselves and things like that.
There's one of them in every town.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this one's cool, and we got full access, and it's the bomb.
Right on.
So be looking for our video drop soon.
Okay, guys.
What's next? Yes. Pick it. Do you want to pick?
Next week, Thomas, you want to tell them? We've got a good one next week.
Yeah.
No, because let me do it. I've been wanting to do it. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing Smiley Face Killer next week.
No way. Okay.
Yeah. And this is what's cool about it. You get some background on this on Paramount Plus. There is a TV series on there right now called Smiley
Yes, I
Face.
saw it. I saw it.
It is
but I haven't
amazing.
watched it.
And I'll tell you what, Dennis Quaid in that show, you think that son of a bitch is a serial killer. The way his facial expressions go, his energy coming off of him, you're like, where did he study for this role? Did he look at different serial killers?
I think he watched enough videos on the Smiley Face Killer to get it, because that guy was creepy also. And how he almost blackmailed his daughter into, bringing him back into the relationship with him. So saying that he would tell people where all the bodies were, but he was only going to do it if through her. Crazy story. So get your Wikipedia out and all your other study tools. This one's a good one.
Yeah, we highly recommend to go to see the Paramount Plus Smiley Face. It's just called Smiley Face. It's got Dennis Quaid in it.
Yep.
And it's got that chick that was in this CBS comedy called Be Positive. Yeah. She plays his daughter, Melissa. And
I'm fixing to look her name up because I was just thinking me and Lee need to watch it while we're doing our thing.
You need to watch it. I highly recommend it because it is very insightful. And just watch the performance of Dennis Quaid. If that was an actual movie, I would put that man up for an Oscar because you think that Dennis Quaid is that serial killer.
Yeah, they'll probably get one of those the series like awards there, whatever they do.
Yeah.
Academy Award.
I don't watch any of the award shows anymore.
No.
Too much for me.
Me too. But see, that
her name is Annalee Ashford.
Yep.
Yeah.
She was also like the secretary or administrator. What was the TV show, Masters and Johnsons, when they did the Joy of Sex and all that, and they showed how they came up with that.
Masters of Sex.
Masters, yeah.
I never saw that. What channel was that on?
I think it was on Showtime, maybe.
I didn't have Showtime at the time, so that's why
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. But that had a lot of like big names in it.
It was good though. It was a good show, and it wasn't what you kind of thought when you. Yeah. But it was good.
Yeah, and but it was fun talking about Aileen Wuornos. Hopefully, more people look into her a little bit more. And again, like we say, we're joking and having fun, and But again, everybody out there, just remember, we do this for you. We do this for the victims. We don't want people to. The more we talk about it, sometimes the more you learn. And as you're walking around, you notice people more. But even with your children, like poor Aileen Wuornos, nobody gave a crap in her whole community. Yeah. Be on the lookout for things. Get people help, in the right way.
Well,
the real story, the real winner on this one is that there was a lady willing to show her love. Mm-hmm. I know it's like, why? But, if you really break it down like we did tonight, heck yeah, she was willing to make a difference.
Yep.
Good for the lady. There's nothing wrong with being positive. There's nothing wrong at all.
It takes a lot of strength.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's crazy. No matter how bad your day's going, sometimes just a good energy friend just sitting next to you saying nothing is all you need. So
exactly.
Remember that. Never overdo it.
Energy changes the vibe. Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
I know when I'm around you guys, I'd be pissed off all day, but as soon as I get with you guys, my whole attitude changes.
Same here.
That's what we do. We do that for each other, and hopefully everybody watching, we give them a little positive too as we talk about a crazy subject every week. Yep. But
well, we're not hopeless.
No,
these monsters exist out there, but we're not hopeless. We're learning to identify them.
Yep.
And identify what makes them and how maybe we can get involved in a way that just a seed, planting a seed in somebody's life that may have needed it at that time.
Yeah, and Lee, one
do
of the
something positive
too is with all the victims of these serial killers, we can communicate with them and give them the peace of mind and the happiness they deserve and need.
Yeah,
that's what we want to celebrate them. We want to bring out though about the killers because there are evil people in the world, but we could do something positive with that if we could help one victim of one serial killer, help their family get closure or get peace. it's worth every bit of it to us.
Speak it, Blaine. That's right.
Or Blaine. What if somebody sees this and notices and walks away from somebody, then they could have been a victim of?
Perfect.
Yeah.
We'll never know, but how good would that be?
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Those little, what I like to call them little blessings the Great Spirit gives you.
Yep.
Is your influence on somebody that they paid attention enough to the show. It's like, okay, I don't like these guys' Google eyes. I don't like the way my stomach feels weird around him. Get up and walk away.
Trust it. Yep.
Trust it always. It's never wrong.
Your family members that have passed never leave you. They're always around.
Never.
They give you those feelings. They're just like, when you bring a boyfriend or girlfriend home, the mom, your mom and dad and all that, and they have that parental pick up on things, and this isn't the right person for you. So they're still in death. They're still around you to help you and give you those weird feelings, that sick feeling when you see something. Yeah. It's helpful. Again, all of us, we talk, we help people and all that, but we're conduits. We're human beings. There's spirits and tribes and whatever are working through us to help. And us being on this show, as we say the words, there's people behind us helping us to help you. So
definitely.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I have a tendency to be gullible. And I know that's like, duh, for most of you that know me. But it's true. And I have fought learning the survival, even though I was taught martial arts and I wasn't on guard, if that makes sense. I didn't know what to look for in a somebody that's a predator like this.
Yeah.
And so this show has helped me identify, not that I'm, in a lot of situations, but they haven't they, Gwen? This has presented itself.
Oh, and she's also got me behind her going, nopity nope.
Nopity nope.
Nopity nope. Jess, if you're watching, nopity nope, girl.
Yeah, nopity nope.
Not today, Satan. Not today.
There you go. Not today, Satan.
Not today.
Well, I'm so gullible. I'm just willing to help people, and I do too much. But
that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, Lee. But we're getting to the point now where you're picking up.
I get it now.
Your energies are picking up. You've always been able to pick up on them, but now you're actually going, oh, wait a minute. That ain't right. That don't feel right.
Yeah, because we're talking about it more. When you talk about it more in these patterns, and people show these patterns, not only are you looking at body language, you're picking up on energy, that evil. I don't want to say, because sometimes some darkness is good. Sometimes you need a little darkness in your life to bring it out. Everything isn't all light and candles and unicorns blowing farts of pixie dust. There is dark parts.
You see that?
Yeah. But hashtag sparkly pixie dust farts. So, but so you have to go through darkness sometimes to come above it. Because I talked to Father Ken, and I had a conversation today, and it was the whole thing with, when you're born, you're in darkness.
Bye, y'all. I gotta get off.
No problem.
All right.
But you're in darkness, and you come out of the womb into the light. So you're starting life. So we have to embrace both sides to be good, but you don't want to go to the evil side. So there's always a couple choices, and we have to keep our path straight. And we do listen to people in life, but we have to take their words, and that help us keep us on our own path.
So tell us a bit about your con.
So there's a lot of people coming, like couple people up there.
Yeah, just a couple of bunch.
And the cool dude that just left us. And there's gonna be a lot of people there. There's still some planning going on. There's still some secrets we're gonna roll out soon.
Nice.
So make sure you pay attention to the website, www.paracon, PARACONN. There's two N's on con because it's Connecticut. .org. You could see all the guests that are coming. There's a thing you could click on if you're from out of state. You could get some discounted hotels. But I tell anybody, all our friends that are watching, I know I saw April earlier, anybody, if you have a group of people like you guys will have, it's always good to get Airbnb. It makes it less expensive.
Yes.
And, tickets are on there. You can get your VIP tickets. there's going to be some other tickets getting sold, but there's another secret thing coming up soon, and maybe some other announcements. But we like to keep it going, the whole momentum. We don't want to give you everything at once. So
No,
that's
of
Charles,
course
my
not.
partner, being the showman. He has to build it like a book. You got to get to that apex there, and be fun.
Hey, Brandon, thank you for watching.
Hey, Brandon.
The gnome.
Yeah, we got a lot of folks watching still. I know we've gone over. I just wanted to, just tell you thank you for taking the time with us and with our viewers. This was supposed to have been a small project, but it's turned into something so much more of people that are learning and developing survival techniques, and I thank you for that. I really think that we are helping. I really do. I think we're helping our society. And it's largely because of you and your efforts, and Blaine, of course. Gwen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I love talking to you guys. I love the Monday night just talking and shooting the breeze.
Yeah, it's so fun.
That's important for other people to see, that people in the paranormal like us from different walks have come together to help people. And I think it should be like that in all of our paranormal industry.
I totally agree.
Nice. Yep. That would be nice.
Do you have any last thoughts before we take it out?
Last thoughts. Looking forward to
Gwen, do you
next
have
week.
Any?
Make sure everybody gets their smile on for next week. So
yeah.
Smiley face. Oh, that's so scary. This guy.
Yeah. Ooh. It's gonna be good. Well, make sure everybody joins us.
This is a Manic Monday. Do you have anything else going on that this week people should be watching for?
Ooh, well,
Miss Producer.
I have Mark Walsh. He has an author name, and I'm gonna butcher this. Amanda Feeds. Amanda, I'm sorry if you're watching.
We'll get lessons on it. We'll get lessons.
Anyway, Mark's up at 9:30. Chad's unlocked, and we're going to be investigating a haunted object. Oh, no, an object that has things happening around it. Let me say it right. At 10:30. Yep.
Yes.
And then
let's do it.
Wednesday.
Which day?
Chris O'Toole. And then Thursday, I have Tony Moran on my show. And John
Moran. Yeah. Who's Tony Moran?
You don't know who he is? He played Jason.
They don't know. He played Jason.
And then that same day, because I had to unfortunately cancel on Teresa Fikes, who is one of the founders of Deep South Paracon, she's going to come and be with us Thursday. So we're going to have a double.
It's going to be a great week. Please stay tuned to All Access Network Television. Hit the like and subscribe button. Share it out. Give us stars. Hit it. And we are peace out, guys. Have a blessed week. And we love you. Thanks for starting your week with us. That's awesome. And we are clear.
Nice.